Yeah, my name is Lewis, and I tell positive stories on the internet. And I also have an apparel brand that backs the stories that I tell with positive messaging. And my goal is to just put as much love into the world as possible. And that all came about because I saw a lack of that. So I wanted to create what I wanted to see in the world. So, and
I
here I am
love
today,
I love that. That's like Gandhi, be the change you want to see,
for
right?
sure, for
That's
sure.
awesome. So when was that? When did you decide to do that? What had you been doing before? How did your life shift?
So it all started because it all actually started with the apparel brand. So that's why my all of my handles are Global Mind Apparel. Because I started with the clothing line and I was just post clothing, trying to sell clothing. And then my clothing kind of shifted to more of a positive message. And then I started to see some traction. So then I got creative and I said, the internet and social media is such a toxic place that I almost want to just get off of it and completely go off the grid. So I gave myself a second option. I said, you can either do that or you can create the type of content that you would love scrolling and seeing. So I said, then I had the bright idea, why don't you just merge the two? So I started creating content around the positive messages that were on my clothing. And now I don't even post the clothes anymore. It's just all this type of content. And so, yeah, so that's kind of to my timeline of how I got to this point. One of my most popular shirts is a shirt that says, be kind. Everyone is healing from something that they don't speak about. So I created that shirt and I would wear it out in public. And the reaction that I would get from people would literally come up with tears in their eyes. People would come up giving me hugs, saying that you have no idea, just seeing this statement on your shirt, what this meant to me. There's another one that I have that says, the world is changed by your example and not by your opinion. And again, it's just talking about being that instead of just talking about it. So that's where the inspiration comes from as far as the clothing is concerned, and how the messaging fits with the stories that I tell.
And so when you said before that your clothing kind of morphed into the positive, what had it been before and what was the impetus to shift it?
So I wanted to start a streetwear brand. So it just had a logo, and that was pretty much it. So I thought, oh, I make some cool clothing and people will buy it, but the clothing business is not that easy, as I as I quickly found out.
Yeah.
So I'm in general a very positive guy, very uplifting person. And so I said, why don't I just create something that reflects who I am and how I operate on a daily basis instead of just trying to make another cool shirt, because no one needs it. That's a luxury. No one needs a shirt, but everyone can use a pick me up. Everyone can use a boost of positive energy. So why not let my clothing line reflect that?
That's awesome. And so then you developed these phrases that you'd want to see or that would make your day if you saw. And then you
Yeah,
noticed it was a conversation piece. And then you had the moment where you were like, okay, I can either go on the internet and make this work for me or just leave entirely. And you made it
yeah.
work for you. So what do you mean by you don't post your clothing anymore? Like, has your channel become so big that that's how you make money? Or does that attention lead to the clothing and people buy it more?
A little bit of both. So when I started just posting the content will go viral. And I've never posted a shirt that went viral, but I've posted a video that goes viral. And then people say, oh, I love this message. And then they go dig further. And then my sales have never been better. And I don't advertise, I don't spend any marketing dollars. I don't do any of that. So, and then my channel has gotten so big that people come in and, who is this guy? Oh, there's a link. Oh, and then yeah, it just kind of it's a byproduct of the content that I produce. And my biggest the content monetization piece is my biggest revenue factor, but the clothes are a very close second. And again, it's just a byproduct of my virality, if you will.
That's amazing. And do you feel, I mean, this might be a projection on my part, but do you feel like that moment where you decided, like, the world doesn't need another cool brand, but they need this positivity, and I'm that person, so I'm going to use who I am and put this out into the world? Does it feel kind of like a mission, like almost like I heard once someone said the apex of your big idea is where your greatest passion meets the world's greatest need. And so if you think about like not only did you need to see it in the world, but everyone does, right? Like it's real dark times now. And so does it feel like a mission to you, like that you're being used for good almost in the world?
So it does feel like that, and not to say that I'm this. I don't look at myself as this savior,
Oh, that's not what I
but
mean, but just like you're adding your part, right? Is
yes,
yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I first noticed that I was onto something, because like I said, I was just telling these stories that I thought were interesting
Yeah.
and using, and I've always been, people have always said, you're a good storyteller.
Yeah.
So I said, oh, well, let me refine this skill a bit and mix it with stories of positivity. And I was just doing it for fun. I didn't think it was going to grow into this, to be honest. I
Okay.
just said, oh, I thought this was interesting. It made me feel good. Maybe if it touches two or three other people, it's well worth it. So when it blew up and I started getting messages from people saying, you have no idea what your content does for me. I literally feel like I can't go on another day, but I'll see a story of yours and your content has saved my life. So I started getting these stories, and that's when your question, do you think this is a bigger mission? That's when I said, oh, okay, this isn't just me telling stories on here. This is having real impact on people's lives. So that those moments really showed me how I'm being used for a better purpose for sure.
Right, like you're of service, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
world's greatest need. We really need positivity. And I feel like we really need loving presence from men,
Mm-hmm.
that right now is missing in a lot of realms. It's there, but it needs to be more at the forefront. Um, do you feel like what you're doing is political?
I don't,
You
not at
don't.
all. And I get that question a lot. A lot of people will ask me these questions. They'll ask me political questions, they'll ask me religious questions, and that's not what I'm here for. The reason being is because I'll post a video and it gets thousands of comments. People are in there high-fiving each other, agreeing on the fact that this is an amazing story, this is what we need more of in the world. And these people from all different backgrounds, all
Right,
different political affiliations, all different religious affiliations, and they're in there high fiving each other, which goes to show you that we have a lot more in like than we do differences.
right,
And my content proves that. Now, once politics gets brought into it, once other things of divisiveness, in my opinion, get brought into it, that's when the conflict happens. And you can literally see that in real time in my comments. So people will comment and they'll agree on it, and then someone will just throw something political in there, and then all of a sudden they're just fighting for days in the comments. But it's like you guys were just high-fiving on this beautiful moment, and before you even knew who voted what or what this other person represented, but now all of a sudden you're divided again. So I feel like no, I don't. To answer your question, that was a long way to answer your question.
It does answer it because on some level it's saying that, I mean, I don't know if you feel this way, and what I heard you say was that on some level it's political in that you are a bridge between this polarity. Like you're taking something that's positive and loving and affirming, and as a result of that, you're finding shared humanity. And that, in some ways, is a political statement. It's just not a red or blue issue. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. It's a like human kind of coming together. But I get why you'd want to stay away from the political. And it's interesting you said religion, because that was going to be my next question as to whether or not this feels like if you are a religious person and if any of this comes from, I'm not Christian. Um, but when you say like this is a dope story, I'm like, I kind of feel like Jesus was really dope. And so the idea that he connected to every kind of human, that it all came from love. I just interviewed someone who used to be an evangelical pastor who had to leave the church because so many people were not living the message of love, like in what
Hmm.
he thought was Jesus. And so I just find that all interesting. And so I did want to ask you about whether or not any of your background informs this.
So no, I'm not a religious person. I'm a very spiritual person. I do believe in a higher energetic power,
Yeah.
but I don't subscribe to any of the, I don't want to say man-made religions, but just any of the, no Christianity or any, and I
I
have,
get it.
so, so
Yeah.
I just don't subscribe to any of those things.
Yeah.
And so I do think that the highest power is a power that wants us all to be together, wants us all to be united, all loving. And so yeah, in a sense, it is a spiritual mission, I guess, but in no way, shape, or form is it a religious mission.
I love that. Yeah, when my kids ask me, because I'm not religious, I'm like, they're like, well, what do you believe in? Do you believe in God? Do you believe in whatever? I'm like, I believe in love. So
Hmm.
that's where I'm at. Um, how has this, so I love that it's not religious, it's not political. This is just, I want to see this in the world and I'm being the thing I want to see.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So how do you feel like this has influenced your life or your relationships or just how you are in the world separate from this kind of brand that you've created?
So it's affected me quite a bit actually. And all I consume is positive content. So I show up in the world way different. I'm not going to say way different, quite a bit differently than I used to, simply because my filter is only tuned into positivity. So whenever I scroll, the algorithm only shows me positive stories because that's what I'm researching all day. And when I go out and hunt for things on the internet, it's all positive stories. Whenever I'm talking to someone, a friend or a family member, I'm only telling them these positive stories. So it directly impacts me in that way. But then also knowing that my content is affecting others to feel a certain way. So, for example, I get a lot of messages from people say, "Hey, I saw your story on this, and you know what I did? I went out and did X, Y, and Z for a complete stranger today, all because I saw your message." Or I saw your message and I helped a friend who was down on his luck, and I never would have done that, but I saw your story, and then so this is what caused me to do that. So knowing it's having that type of ripple effect is, and that's worth more than any monetary value, any amount of clothes I can sell. Those messages really resonate with me and really keep me, because it's a lot of work doing what I do, but those messages truly keep me going for sure.
So how much work is it what you do? Like what take me through like a typical day. How often do you post? Like what does that look like?
So I probably spend anywhere from 10 to 12 hours a day doing what I do, sometimes more,
Oh my
because
gosh.
it's all me. So I'm researching stories. I'm putting together the storyline. When I tell these stories, I'm not just repeating facts. I am
No.
putting them together in a way that retains attention, that keeps you interested. So that takes time. So I have to film them. I'm filming them all by myself. Then I have to edit all of them. I'm editing all of them by myself. And you said earlier that you edit content, so you know how time consuming that is. So typically when I wake up in the morning, I edit a bunch of videos to post for the next day. Then I do research on stories. Then I put together the storylines, and then I go and film. And then later that night, I schedule all my posts for the next day, then get up and the whole cycle starts over. So it's
Wow.
very
And do you
consuming.
take any breaks?
Not really.
Not really.
No, no. I
Okay.
need to get better at that for sure.
I was gonna say, where is your self-care?
Yeah. Well, so the thing is, I'm very big on meditation. I'm very big on breath work and journaling. So I always start the end of my day with these self-care practices because I know that burnout is real, and I know that Exhaustion is real.
Have you thought about like getting help, like someone who could help, or do you not trust that someone would be able to help you correctly?
That's an amazing question. And people ask me that all the time. So the areas that I could get help in would be editing. However, the way that I do it, I don't know how someone could do it exactly the way that I do it. Finding the stories, I could probably get help with that, but even the stories that I find aren't the typical stories that everyone's heard. I want those diamonds that no one's ever heard of or that are super unique. So yeah, I just don't know in what areas I could try to form a team around, but it
Yeah.
it it would be helpful. I just don't see it right now.
Right. And also the time it would take to train someone
Hmm.
to look for what you're looking for and to edit the way you edit. In the schedule you're on, I could
Hmm.
understand that being very difficult. But also I'm like, wow, that is a lot. So do you have like a main, I don't know personally what your deal is. Like, do you have a main relationship? Are you married? Do you have kids? Like, could you see yourself having that within this context?
So yeah, I'm married. I've
Okay.
been married for I think 8 years now,
Okay.
and I have two kids. I have an adult kid. I have a 19-year-old daughter, and then I have a 3-year-old son.
Oh my God, yay.
Yeah, so yeah, big family is really important to me, and so it's cool because my daughter, she gets to see she has a full understanding of what's going on. And her friends and family members are always like, your dad's famous. I watch his videos all the time. And my daughter, ever since she was young, even when I started my clothing line, she would help me process orders and pack orders and ship them. And so she's always been a part of that experience. And then my son, even now, he knows that I make videos, he knows that I create content, and he's excited about it. And so, and my wife is a big supporter. So it's definitely I figured out a way to merge and still have a healthy family life and do what I do as well.
That's amazing. So, given that you are doing this like 10 to 12 hours a day, and you said you structure your morning with meditation and journaling and something that's going to ground you, what do you do? Like, how do you fit in family time within that? Like, how does that work?
So as far as my daughter, she doesn't live with me anymore, so
Right.
she's out doing her own thing.
Yeah.
But my son is beautiful because I don't miss anything of his because I'm on my own schedule. So if
Right.
I get up at 6 or 7 and I work till 10. If me and him have something to go to, he's very active. So he's in different sports and he's just starting preschool and tumbling and all these things. And I get to go to every single thing because I'll just take an hour out of my day, take
Right.
him to what his activity, come back and finish. Around lunchtime, me and him will get some lunch. We'll go to the park. I'll take another hour, come back and keep doing my thing. So I do work a lot, but I'm the one who calls the shots. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
there
love that.
every
Yeah.
step of the way for him.
That's amazing. And does your wife work?
She doesn't. She's a stay-at-home mom.
Okay, so
And
he's getting a lot of attention and love.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Okay, so you don't want to get political or religious. So I don't know how you're going to feel about entering this kind of next realm of conversation. I'm just wondering, w- you know, your relationship to being a man, the men in your life, how you want to raise your son, like if you have thoughts around that that you'd feel comfortable sharing.
Absolutely. So that's something that's very important to me because I think raising a son is a unique challenge, and especially being a girl dad first and then now having a son. And also my son is black, which is another element.
Yeah.
And so I am very delicate about the things that I teach him, about the things that I instill in him and how I want him to show up in the world. And yeah, it's definitely something that I focus heavily on. And I always want to make sure that my wife and I are on the same page. So we're giving him the same messaging because it it's kind of scary thinking of sending your they're going to grow up into be men, and you send them out into the world, and the world can be pretty cold and tough on young men, and women have you have your own different set of challenges.
For sure.
And so the boy to men challenges is definitely unique. So that's definitely something that I think about a lot, and I try to do my best to prepare him to live a. I want him to be solid and aggressive, but I also want him to be gentle and be in touch with his emotions as well. And that's a tough line to balance, in my opinion.
Well, how do you feel like you've created that? Because I feel like you're obviously very, I wouldn't say aggressive, but you go after what you want. You work
Mm-hmm,
really hard and you're solid and grounded, right?
mm-hmm.
But also promoting love in the world. And so to me, that's a perfect balance. So you're being the example for your son. But how did you get to that place? Was there a man in your life that instilled that, or did you create that from a lack of it? Like, what was your kind of formation story?
So I was raised by my mom and dad. They were together my whole life. And honestly, my mom is someone that instilled that in me because my mom was way beyond her times. All the things that people are buzzwords now. So meditation and attitude and affirmations and all of how the way you talk to yourself. She was teaching me these things in the 80s and the 90s.
Right.
And me and my brother. And at the time I was thinking, oh, this is just mom talk, whatever. But now I realize, and I realized it more when I was in my early 20s, I embarked upon my personal development journey. So I just consumed as much content as I possibly could on how to be a better person and show up better in the world. So to answer your question, the way that I've gotten here is from a lot of self-reflection, a lot of figuring out human psychology, figuring out human behavior, and just wanting to be better. And so you're right. As much as I try to instill these things in my son, the example that I show, I think, is way more important than anything that I can tell him, to be honest.
Do you find that as a black man, um, that you are seen a certain way or not seen a certain way, or like what has that experience been like for you? And so it's not just being like a man, but a black man in this country, having a black son in this country. And what, again, I know you don't want to get political, so
Mm-hmm.
whatever you feel comfortable, talking about.
Yeah, so I definitely am seen differently as a black man in this country, and there's no denying that. And I don't like the expression I don't see color because I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I want my color to be seen. I want my color to be celebrated. I want you to see it. I just don't want to be judged because of it, because that is a part of who I am.
Right.
So I know that I live under a different set of rules, if you will, than someone that doesn't look like me. And I know that. I don't use that as a victim card. I don't use that as a pass. I don't use that as anything. I'm just aware of it.
Right.
So as my son gets older, I just want him to be aware of it. It doesn't affect what you can achieve. It doesn't affect what you can do. And it also doesn't affect how you treat people because in certain situations, it can create a chip on your shoulder.
Right.
But I was always told, and this is how my mom told it to me, always be aware of it, but still base how you treat people off of those individual reactions. So even no matter how many people that look a certain way treat you a certain way, the next person that you meet that looks like that could be the most loving person ever. So you always start from zero, always start from scratch with everyone that you meet. And that's tough because I've been through things. I've been profiled, I've been called out on certain things, and but the way that I've handled these things in my life has created a certain level of strength and a certain thickness of skin to not let certain things penetrate or slow me down or get me into a funk or start seeing the world as this hateful racial place, even though there are people in this world like that. But if I go out on a daily basis, I know that there are still good people out there. I'm not, every person that I interact with isn't out to get me because I'm black. So it's a tough thing to manage as a black man in this country for sure.
What would you say? And it could be as a black man, as a human, doesn't have to be any of those things, but what advice, because these interviews are for parents who have boys.
Mm-hmm.
So, I love to get advice from the different experts or the different humans, right, that have different expertise or ways of being in the world. And as I said, why I reached out to you is that I just think being a loving example is so important, and we need more of that. So, do you have any advice for parents of young boys?
What I like to do is I tell my son about himself. So it all starts from it's an inside job, and your life is a reflection of how good you're doing on that inside job. So my son wakes up and goes to bed with affirmations. My son practices gratitude. My son has to compliment and show people love and show people grace. I try to lead by example. And I tell you, hey, we're yesterday we were leaving to practice and I held the door for like 15 or 20 people. And he's like, Dad, I'm ready to go. What are we doing? And I said, do you see how these people smile, how they were thankful, how they were happy? There was a mom who had her hands full. She had three small children. And I said, I held the door for her to make it easy on them. And I said, that's a nice, kind thing to do. And he said, oh, wow, that is nice, Dad. So now he knows that he's doing this as a that's his contribution to the world to that day, and it's small things. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. You don't need a lot of money. You just need these small moments of empathy, small moments of kindness. And then if you go back and look at your week and you've done one or two things each day, you have a bank of kindness at this point, so which feeds the world, which in turn also feeds yourself. So, and I'll bring it back to an inside job. If how you see yourself is how other people are going to see you, and that's how you're going to show up. And there's nothing that anyone can say to make you feel a certain way. It's how you respond and how the narrative you give yourself. And so if you feel a certain way about yourself and your cup is always full, even if you come across the nastiest people, you will always prevail. You will always find a way to put a smile on your face. And then I also try to tell him, look, the way people act, the way people treat you, and even he may be a little young for this
I was gonna
concept,
say he's
but
three, right?
he's a very wise. I feel like he's been here before for
Wow,
sure,
that's
because the things
amazing.
that he picks up on, the things that he talks about, and even though I say things that may be a little bit beyond, he'll repeat them to me,
That's
and I'm
amazing.
thinking, wow. So yeah, and I did this with my daughter as well. So my parenting is pretty much the same. But I feel like with men, they really have to be secure, and boys really have to feel they have to love themselves. The destruction, the horrible things that take place in this world, all because I think are all stem from men who don't love themselves.
Yes.
And we're seeking validation from a dad who was there, or absent father, or there's some validation issue and something that they're trying to prove. So if you eliminate that urge to try to prove something, that's half the battle, in my opinion.